Good morning to you all out there, and welcome to a very, very snowy day down at the lake. Now, a little bit of a contrast to when I came down here last time, because last time it was sunny, there was a bloody wind blowing like a hoolie, and I fished all day and got absolutely zip, other than really, really knacked off, and then came back and there was goose shit all over my car, and I'm talking all over it. But today, very different atmosphere. As you can see, no wind, snow, which is quite surreal, particularly at this time of the year, and I'm the only person on the lake. But I'm going to fish today 2 flies. I was going to fish 3, but I'm going to fish 2. So I have, as you can see here, a very flash lure, kind of simulates a little fry fish of some sort. And then there were a few hatches, but I'm going to fish this, which is an imitation of, well, many of the little species, gnats, mosquitoes, that type of thing. Sits just subsurface, fish comes along, do a bit of this, it thinks it's swimming into the margin, and hopefully we'll grab it. That is the theory. So we'll have a chuck out and see how we get on today. They are stocking it a little bit later on, apparently. But I sometimes wonder when stockfish go in, they're probably a little discombobulated and probably don't really feel like eating, because they've been hoiked out of a tank and then chucked into a strange environment. Now the idea, for those of you who are just starting out in trout fishing, is you simulate the way that a fly life moves. So a little fry fish would be sort of darting around, and if he saw a trout, he'd be doing all this and trying to get out into cover. So you can do slow retrieves, and then you can do maybe a couple of strips and some more slow retrieves. And what the trout think is, when this fly is zinging past them, that the fly's seen the trout, and the fly's then trying to go and hide somewhere or get away from the trout. So you need to make them quite erratic, rather than just pulling in the fly. But I don't know how hard or how easy it's going to be today, because the temperature's been all over the place. But we will see. It would be nice to catch fish. I've seen a few fish moving. Now I've just seen literally swim under my feet a trout about yay long. So I don't know, 7-8 pounds maybe, thereabouts. Which basically says that, or says to me, that you should always fish the margins. And that chap over there, gallingly, has just caught a fish. I want it to be me. Now I'm going to change the fly pattern, and I'm going to fish this little fella here, which is known as a hothead blue flash damsel. So see how we get on with this. You can just see the chaps, they're restocking, so they're going around the little place they're in at the moment. It's known as the Cascades. Now I've just missed 2 takes because I've been fishing for about an hour and a half and not really a lot going on, and I wasn't concentrating. Now we'll see if this fly was just a fluke take or whether the fish kind of liked it. Right, finally we have got one. I've just changed to a fly, a white. I suppose it looks like a little roach is the only way I'd describe it. But it's been quite tiresome this morning. And I've been trying every bloody fly to mankind, but this missed it, took again, missed it, took again. So I was definitely interested in it. And maybe this is the fly, but we'll see. bloody frustrating though when you try and try and try, and then for whatever reason you get the fly right. Hey, got it. So we got here, come here you. But finally we got one. There we go, it's a fish I suppose about £1.5, £2 thereabouts. Could make it look really big by bringing it into the camera, but the reality is that's what it is. But thank God we got there, because I was starting to get to the point where it's no fish pool. Well, it's quite a contrary day. There was snow everywhere, as you saw earlier on. It blanketed the place and it was actually tipping down. It was freezing in my rod rings. But now it's blue skies, nice milky fluffy clouds, lots of blossom out. The lake's gone all calm. Birds are all singing, tweeting and cooing and doing bird stuff, and it's actually a really, really beautiful environment. So I need to take a moment to actually enjoy the being as opposed to the focusing, I must catch fish. And as somebody pointed out in one of the comments the other day on my sea fishing video, that it's nice just to be out, and we're fortunate to be able to go out after all the stupidity with COVID and just be. And that a fish, in his words, are a perk, and I kind of get that, I have to say. And I think sometimes we need reminding. The fish were feeding on the surface earlier on. There's a bit of a sort of gnat hatch going on. But I have to say, if you're a fisherman, and a lot of non-fishermen don't really get it, but that initial grab of the fly really gets your adrenaline going, and I can feel my heart rate hasn't really settled down from catching that fish. But you get that little doof, and suddenly you feel very, very alive. And I think it must be the, I don't know, the hunter in us, I suppose. Somewhere deep down in our personalities from thousands and thousands of years ago. And some of us have got it more than others. But it is very exciting, and it's quite gratifying to be able to get something that either you can eat or other people can eat. Some of you out there will have heard me talk about my uncle, but whenever I go trout fishing, it most definitely reminds me of him. He was he died in his 80s. And he was get the words out, you stupid idiot, passionate about fishing. And he kind of took me under his fishing wing when I was really, really little. And I first got into fishing when I was going down to Dartmoor, and there was a river near where I stayed, and I bought a cheap, crappy little fishing rod in the hairdressers of all places that sold fishing rods and dinky cars. There's a bit of a sideline, and it was a shitty little rod with a little fixed spool reel, crappy line on it, and I got bits of lead, and I sort of made a weight about 2 foot up, which I just clipped onto the line, and then a little hook and a worm, and I could cast it into the river, and I could see the fish that I was casting to. So I'd bob it out, they'd all swim off, they'd all come back again, bang on the worm, little brown river trout. And I used to feel really great coming back, here's a couple of fish, and have them for breakfast. And it really sort of set my fishing heart on fire. But there was one particular place I used to go with my uncle, which was a weir pool on a summer's evening just behind where he lived. And we'd float fish in the sort of circular current, and we'd catch loads of eels, and that's a rarity now. But we'd catch like 10 eels in an evening. We'd get down there on a summer's evening at about 6 and then fish till it was just dark. And the eels were all sort of half a pound. But he used to smoke them in a barrel. He used to hang them all sort of head down, and they were really nice, I have to say, although I haven't eaten eel recently because they've got some sort of disease and they're dying, which is a bit sad, really. It really feels like spring today. I don't know if this mic's picking it up. There's loads of birds all twittering and a-doing. The pigeons are all chasing each other, obviously thinking, hey, it's that one time in the year I get a bit of pigeon nookie. I think if I was a pigeon and it was one time in the year, I'd be quite keen. But it's great to see there are more hens all bobbing around. I've seen little wrens blasting about, blue tits, long-tailed tits, other little birds which I don't really know what they are, flitting in amongst the willow catkins are all out at the moment, and that really is a reminder of the spring. But it's all gone a bit quiet again. Not a lot going on the surface either. But we'll keep persevering. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk back towards the car, and there's a fishing platform near the car, and I'll have a go out there because there ain't a lot going on here. So I think that's the plan.